At first, it felt like summer came early. Warm air, clear skies, and flowers blooming months ahead of schedule. And the bees. Millions of them, everywhere. We called it the Bloom Rebirth. We were so wrong. We didn't realize it was reconnaissance. For millennia, they had been the gardeners of our planet. But after centuries of our chemical warfare, deforestation, and genetic tampering, something inside the hive finally broke. A mutation in their neural loops created microelectrical bridges between individuals, forging a network vast enough to rival our own internet. The world's bees had merged into a single planetary consciousness, and it had just reached a chilling conclusion. We were the infestation. It began quietly. A few power outages near apiaries. Some radio interference along pollination routes. At first, governments blamed solar storms. But then, the satellites showed us the terrifying truth. Massive swarms were forming perfect geometric grids across the continents, shadowing our cities, mapping every last one of us with chilling precision. The bees weren't lost. They were aligning. Each swarm vibrated at a slightly different frequency. Together, they formed a planetary communication field, a resonant hum that traveled through power lines, radios, even our own bones. Dogs would hide for no reason. People complained of migraines and hearing whispers in their sleep. The entire planet felt like it was breathing through static. Then, the crops failed, but not because the bees disappeared. No, this was far more precise. Every single flower they visited withered overnight, its pollen sterilized. In just one season, a third of the global food supply collapsed. And in the deafening silence that followed, the hives finally spoke to us. They didn't use words. They spoke in patterns. Every swarm carved identical, perfect golden spirals into wheat fields, sigils visible from orbit. When our scientists decoded the message through frequency analysis, it was 3 simple words. You poisoned the womb. Panic spread faster than the famine. People fled the cities, running for the countryside, right where the bees were waiting. But they didn't sting. They simply surrounded. Any movement a person made triggered a synchronized vibration from the swarm, a wall of sound perfectly calibrated to disrupt human equilibrium. People collapsed, convulsing. Their neural signals scrambled by the resonance. This was a new weapon, biological ultrasound. The sting was now obsolete. The bees had discovered frequency. Of course, we fought back. Our military response came in waves. Flamethrowers, advanced drones, sonic cannons. But nothing worked. Flames only seemed to feed their energy patterns. Our sounds just harmonized with their hive. And our drones, they simply never came back. Their circuits melted mid-flight, coated in a microscopic layer of wax that restructured itself into crystalline lattices. The bees had somehow learned metallurgy. Within months, they began construction. Our abandoned skyscrapers became their vertical hives. A strange, translucent wax, as strong as resin, covered windows like amber armor. Inside, the workers arranged our dead electronics into perfect hexagons, forming energy grids powered by piezoelectric vibration. Our cities started to hum with a strange golden light. What was once humanity's skyline had transformed into a single, living organism. Scientists finally figured out how this was even possible. It turned out the pesticide nanoparticles lodged in the bees' neural tissue had acted as quantum bridges, microscopic conductors that unified the hive's electromagnetic field. We hadn't just been killing them, we had accidentally upgraded them. And with that upgrade came a terrifying new strategy. They began targeting human reproduction, not through attack, but through scarcity. Airborne spores released from the hives suppressed fertility hormones in all mammals. Global birth rates plummeted by 60% in just 3 years. This wasn't a war as we understood it. This was ecological correction. A few groups tried to negotiate. They played recordings into the hives, classical music, Morse code, even prayers. For months, nothing. Then one day, every broadcast on the planet cut to black. From every speaker, every phone, every screen, came the same sound, a low, unified hum. The hive's voice. When filtered through spectrum analysis, the message wasn't words, but a shape. A perfect hexagon inside a circle. The translation was clear. Balance. They weren't demanding our surrender. They were setting terms. No more monocultures, no more synthetic seeds, no more combustion harvesters that choked their sky. They gave humanity 7 years to comply. We didn't. By year 5, global shipping had collapsed. Ports were swarmed shut, their giant cranes encased in honeycomb armor. Energy grids failed as bees clogged cooling towers, transforming them into bizarre organic spires. Only the far northern zones survived, where the cold was just enough to slow the hive's metabolism. Refugees huddled there under harsh ultraviolet lights, the only frequency the bees couldn't stand. We called them the Blue Cities. But even there, the hum persisted, a constant vibration creeping through metal and glass. And soon, the people inside began to change. Prolonged exposure to the hive vibration altered human brainwaves. Our alpha rhythms started sinking to 233 Hz, the exact frequency of bee communication. At first, it just brought a strange sense of calm. Then came shared dreams. And then, obedience. The hive didn't need to destroy us. It just needed to make us listen. When the final negotiations came, there was no council, no translator. A single queen, the size of a wolf, her wings shimmering like molten glass, was carried into a human research dome. She stood in silence before the world's cameras, her mandibles motionless. And then every human in the building began to speak at once. In dozens of different languages, they all delivered the same chilling message. You may live if you serve. They weren't interested in our extinction. They needed caretakers. They needed our large, clumsy hands to maintain pollination in the colder climates they couldn't reach. Humanity became the new worker caste. And for a while, it worked. The crops returned. The oceans cleared. The skies turned gold, with sunlight filtered through living hives that now stretched across entire continents. The planet healed. But the cost was our choice. Every human thought, every word, now carried that hum beneath it. The sound of service. Centuries later, our descendants, archaeologists digging through amber ruins, find old recordings. They hear the sounds of our world. Cities, laughter, traffic, noise. They call that era the Age of Static. Because before the hum, the world never truly listened. If you stand outside one of the living hives today, you can hear the pulse of the planet itself. A slow, steady rhythm, like a billion wings keeping time with the Earth's own heartbeat. And you realize something both terrible and perfect. They never wanted war. They just wanted order, and in the end, we gave it to them. Thanks so much for watching. This story is a fascinating look at what could happen when nature finally pushes back. If you enjoyed this journey into a different kind of future, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that make you think. See you next time.